Welcome back. Let's now get you all the latest from the line of actual control. The standoff continues as we're being told that China is continuing its provocation along the border, now by sending in artillery and tank units close to Indian territory. And India is in no mode to stand back. Sources have told us that India has also beefed up its deployment along the border. All the latest updates in this report.
Day 27 and the Ladakh standoff hardens further. China continues its provocative mobilization while India matches China troop for troop. In the biggest new development, top sources tell India today that China has mobilized artillery and armored units close to the line of actual control in Ladakh. Apart from aggressive muscle flexing, the larger design, experts believe, is to occupy commanding heights from where the Chinese can reach close to Indian locations in just a couple of hours.
Australia is standing firm tonight in its demand for an investigation into the cause of the coronavirus outbreak, despite renewed pressure from China. It's feared Beijing is threatening to cut off lucrative trade relationships as a way of forcing Australia to back down.
China is weaponising trade.
Our farmers and exporters certainly haven't done anything wrong.
With punitive tariffs flagged for Australian barley, China has now slapped an import ban on 4 Australian abattoirs, claiming their meat has been mislabelled. But the Trade Minister can't get any answers from...
We just want to know what happened, so it doesn't happen again.
Beijing's list of grievances is long and includes other shots fired from Canberra that echoed around the world, like complaining about China's illegal occupation and militarisation of islands in the South China Sea, outlawing foreign interference in Australia's domestic affairs, banning Chinese tech giant Huawei from the rollout of next-generation wireless, and calling out Beijing-sponsored industrial-scale cyber theft. Government sources say that China is furious with Australia because this nation has helped to alert the world to just how coercive the communist state has become under President Xi Jinping. And while the Australian government will try to calm some of the more heated voices in its ranks, it will not back down.
We don't respond to any threats of economic coercion.
But that is exactly what this is. Chris Ullman, 9 News.
Basic facts. China's been ruled by a brutal authoritarian regime, a communist regime since 1949. For several decades, we thought the regime would become more like us through trade, scientific exchanges, diplomatic outreach, letting them in the WTO as a developing nation. That didn't happen. We greatly underestimated the degree to which Beijing is ideologically and politically hostile to free nations. Second point, on the bigger picture, the Chinese Communist Party's response to the COVID-19 outbreak in Wuhan have accelerated our more realistic understanding of communist China. The party chose to destroy live virus samples instead of sharing them or asking us to help secure them. The Chinese Communist Party chose to threaten Australia with economic retribution for the simple act of asking for an independent inquiry into the origins of the virus. It's not right. We stand with Australia and the more than 120 nations now who have taken up the American call for an inquiry to the origins of the virus so we can understand what went wrong and save lives now and in the future.
I've just been standing in for the PM on the G7 meeting where we've been going through all of the areas where the UK is providing a leading role and working very closely with all of our international colleagues on. And I have to say, there are all of these questions about the outbreak, but also we had very good cooperation with the Chinese in relation to the return of UK nationals, the outset from Wuhan, and we have on procurement of things that we need. So we ought to look at all sides of this and do it in a balanced way. But there's no doubt we can't have business as usual after this crisis, and we'll have to ask the hard questions about how it came about and how it couldn't have been stopped.
The pushback, meanwhile, is coming from Africa. Lawyers in Nigeria are suing China. They want $200 billion in damages for the loss of lives. But that's not the only battle being fought. Africans are also fighting growing racism in China. Videos show Africans in China being attacked and harassed. They're being forcibly evicted and face discrimination over the spread of the Wuhan virus. Here's a report.
The clamor to make China pay is growing louder. The latest on the list is Nigeria. A group of Nigerian lawyers is suing China, They want $200 billion in damages. Reports cite a statement. The damages are being sought for the loss of lives, economic strangulation, trauma, hardship, social disorientation, mental torture, and disruption of the normal daily existence of people in Nigeria. The lawyers have a two-phase action plan. First, go to the Federal High Court of Nigeria, and then persuade the government to sue China at the International Court of Justice. Africa's anger against China is being fueled by the racist attacks Africans are facing in China. They are battling discrimination and stigma. Social media is awash with videos. This one shows a Chinese police officer harassing an African man. Another video shows a group of Chinese men attacking an African, with a woman shouting out for help in the background. The exact context or what transpired before and after the video was shot is not clear. Racism and xenophobia are on the rise in China. Reports say thousands of African-origin people have been left homeless after being evicted over fears that they could be spreading the coronavirus.
Is China now too strong to criticize? Is our only option to submit? Maybe. We'll find out. Even now, there are certainly downsides for anyone who dares say a negative word about Beijing. China is now threatening to punish elected American officials who dare to criticize the Chinese response to coronavirus. Hard to believe. They're saying that out loud. To his credit, Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri is not intimidated. He's one of those who's been threatened by the Chinese government, and we're happy to have him on tonight. Senator, thanks a lot for joining us. First, if you could just be specific about the threat that China has made against you.
Well, China has said that they are going to sanction me personally, whatever that means, and they're going to sanction my state, the state of Missouri, because we've had the temerity, Tucker, to actually stand up. State of Missouri is suing the Chinese government, and rightly so. And I propose legislation that would allow every American who has been hurt by this COVID pandemic that Beijing unleashed on the world, to allow every American to go to court who's been hurt, hold the Chinese government accountable, and have the court freeze Chinese assets. So I guess that makes me a target. I don't care. We're going to keep speaking the truth, and we're going to hold China accountable. And this is the time. We have got to change our relationship with China. It is now or never.
It's not just a question of trade. It's a question of what kind of world are our grandchildren going to live in. It's not an overstatement to say the future of the world hangs in the balance right now. So I fervently hope this can be a bipartisan effort. Have you had any luck?
The world is at a crossroad. Are we going to allow China, the dragon, to wrap its tail around the world? Now is the time to stand up. The big C had given us this great opportunity to see China for who they are. And if we don't stand up now, this dragon is going to wrap its tail around the world. And we need to take a stand, not tomorrow, but we need to take a stand now. Stop China from wrapping its tail around the world. Now we're going to move on to this little clip whereas Zambia have been so manipulated by the Chinese. I'm going to show you a clip of this incident that happened about 2 years ago with a young man from Zambia, what the Chinese did to him.
There was a Zambian brother that stayed in China. Now, he was a civil engineering student. His name was Crispin Mwale. That's his brother's name. Now, this brother in China was dating a Chinese woman. And the Chinese men that lived there had a problem with that. So much so that they beat this brother to death. with some metal pipes. It was about 4 Chinese men that did this. Now, I cannot show you the video on YouTube because against their rules, but I will make another version of this same video. It will include the clip. I'll leave the link down below for Black Junction. You can go there, you can watch the clip, and we'll continue with the commentary on that. Now, once they beat this brother, I mean, they were beating him. I mean, you know, you see the blood, you see all that, they beating him. Now, this is what they said to this brother, right? In the midst of beating him, after they pulled him out of the house. Now, the thing is, his girlfriend wanted him to go back to the crib with her, right? After clubbing. And they heard that. So they pulled him out of the house. And this is what they said to him. I want y'all to hear this. Now, we have over 1 million Chinese in the continent of Africa. They're coming in. They're doing all kind of foul and greasy stuff. We even hear our Caribbean brothers and sisters, even Jamaicans, they're saying they're coming in and being foul and greasy in Jamaica. So throughout the diaspora, we having the same issues and problems, and it needs to be called out. Now, they said to this brother, while they were beating him to death, they said that there is no black man allowed to date their people. This is what they said in China. But yet, we have Chinese men going over to the continent of Africa, getting with black women. Now, Zambian brothers, you got to set some order in Zambia right now. Now, they said they insulted this brother while they were beating him and said Africa was too poor and they would not allow black beings to be raised in their country. Meaning, we don't want your half-black children being raised here either. So they beat him, they say, till he died. That's it. Now, this happened originally in 2016, but this brother got no justice because in China, they don't give justice to black people. I had another brother that came to a video, was writing that when he was in China, one of them was upset while he was playing basketball. And if the brother, remember the story, right? He dunked on one of them. He punched him. He was about to go handle his business. But the African brothers stopped him from handling his business. They said, hey, you hit him, you're going to go to jail for years. Say they had a friend of theirs got in a fight with one of them and got sentenced 8 years in jail for defending himself. So the Chinese don't like black folk. I don't care who say what. This is what I'm starting to see more and more and hear stories coming out of everywhere. We've seen the racist video that came out of Kenya where he was calling black people monkeys, saying black people stink, talking about the president of Kenya. We saw that video.
Now I want you to watch this little clip how he have humiliated this mayor to apologize to these Chinese. The clip was so disgraceful to watch. To see a mayor of such high integrity have to apologize to these people in his country for doing something right. He did not done anything wrong, but he apologized to these people that come to take over Africa, that come to slave our people again. After how many hundreds of years in slavery, they had come back to drive the final nail in the coffin of the Africans. And this president is allowing that to happen. He deserves an award for the most disgraceful, is the most shameful, he's the most disgusting president ever to be on the African side. He deserves an award for that.
Accept my error in judgment of physically going to the business premises instead of engaging relevant offices and institutions. I can give guidance, but actual execution of revoking trading licenses for any trader or business house that may be found wanting or in breach of any law of the land need to be done by relevant offices and institutions. I wish to apologize unreservedly to the following. 1. The Chinese community in the city of Lusaka and beyond for the tone and language used towards one of their nationals, in particular on the use of the word Chinaman. They have since lodged in a formal complaint against my use of the word. They demanded that I render an apology. I therefore sincerely apologize to all the Chinese people. My calling is to respect all human beings, be it in deed or speech, regardless of their race or nationality. I render my apology to all other leaders in whose jurisdiction my actions may have interfered with and put their offices into disrepute. I give them.
The world can see what China is trying to do. They are trying to intimidate and to manipulate the system. They are pretending as if they are there to help you. They are pretending as if they are there to support you. But deep down, they are there for themselves. They spend like $1 billion in Africa and they would take out 10 billion. So they are not there to help you guys. They are there to help themselves. If it's not profitable for them, they would not be there. But yet still, they are making it seem like, oh, listen, we would just leave if you do not apologize, as if say they are doing Africa a favor. They are not doing them any favor. They are looking out for themselves. They are getting fat. They are getting wealthy. They are getting rich into your country. When we go into their country, we have to subdue and do as we are told. But when they come to our country, they do as they feel like and as they want. And we must roll out red carpet for them. I'm asking you please to share and subscribe. Thank you.